to my beautiful Patrick Ryan. You are 23 years old today. You were born July 8th, 1984. I was 18. I was in labor for over 2 days, and they decided that you were not going to be born in the normal fashion because you were planted sideways instead of head down. And I had labored for so darn long, I was a little bit outside my head with fear and pain, so I opted to go to sleep. It was really scary. I somehow sensed we'd have a little bit of difficulty, but I kind of knew we'd make it too. So I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I said, "Is Patrick here?" And they said, "Oh, is that the little boy's name?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "How did you know it would be a boy?" And I said, "I just knew." And they said, "Well, your son has a couple of little problems. His lungs aren't fully developed, so he keeps stopping breathing. And so we need to take him from where we are here, which is New Mexico, and we need to fly him to Texas Children's Hospital." So you were born in an Air Force hospital because your father was in the Air Force. And so I had to real quick think and sign a paper to let them take you. And so that was hard. But I did. And thus started the lifetime of motherhood, right? You guys know when you have to make those tough decisions for the good of everybody, including your little bunny. And so I signed it, and they wheeled me to the window, and I watched them wheel you in your incubator onto a helicopter. You were medevaced. It was crazy. There were these 4 grown men, Patrick, and they surrounded your incubator, and they were all in uniform, and they wheeled you onto this helicopter, and it was wild because the helicopter door was open. It was a Air Force military helicopter, and they strapped in the incubator, and the men all gathered around you and held you in place, and off you went to Texas. And so they put me in this room by myself. They put me in a room where they put mothers whose children might not make it. I quickly figured out the whole deal. And so I was like, well, let me try to come out of all the anesthesia and everything and think about this. And what I realized was that I had to call the nurse real quick, wherever you were, because I remembered, and don't forget I was only 18, I remembered studies that they did on puppies and chimpanzees and things like that, where the babies could be living in horrible poverty, but if they were touched and loved, they found the will to survive. And so I called the nurse, and I made friends with her quickly, and I checked every hour or two to make sure they were holding you and loving you for me, so that you could come back to me. And it took several days without you until they brought you back to me. And the day that they brought you back to me, I remember putting on my makeup and doing my hair, honey, because I wanted to look good for you. I didn't want to let you down. So I made sure, I was presentable to you. And you were so tiny. I couldn't believe, when they put you in my arms, the weight of you. You meant everything to me. And the idea of you was so big to me that I thought you should weigh, I don't know, 50 pounds, maybe 100. Anyway, so you were 6+. That was it. Peanut, right? Anyway, it was awesome. It was the most amazing moment. And from that moment on, I knew that I would do anything for you, and that you were my purpose. You were why I came here, and why all of a sudden my life was important. And so we grew up together. Me 18, you brand new. And you taught me a lot. You taught me a lot about having a sense of humor and the patience of a saint. Patience of a saint. You taught me that boys can have fabulous decorating sense and that boys are sensitive and have feelings too. And that boys are also strong and wise and just good people. And so, wow, we went through a lot together, didn't we? You were always my reason for doing the right thing, though, Pat. That's for damn sure. And when things got bad, I would look at you and think, what can we do to make it right for Pat? And then I always knew I would make the right decision. And we went through so much together. I know we did. And I made some big mistakes. And I tried to always be honest with you about how human I was. But you were so forgiving, and you always have been so forgiving. And you've done so much with your life. You work at the pipeline up in Alaska. How many guys your age have that job? You're incredible. Grown men want the job you have. You are compassionate to your yam. That's code name for your grandma. And your Aunt Tina. You love those girls, and you take care of them, and they take care of you, and you know I adore you, and I'm just so proud of you. And so, 23 years ago, today, you came, and you changed everything. And I'm so glad you did, honey.